Husband's school ex contacted him and told him she still has feelings for him, and he admitted he has feelings for her too, so she started texting him daily until she finally asked him to run away with her and leave me. Hello, everyone. I, 27F, have been with my husband, 27M, for almost 8 years, married for 3. Let's call him Liam, fake name. Prior to our relationship, Liam was with Danielle, 28F, also fake name. Liam and Danielle met in high school and were extremely close friends before they decided to start dating. They dated from the end of their senior year of high school to the end of their freshman year of college. They were a lot of firsts for each other, including sex for the first time. According to Liam, Danielle was the first girl he was ever truly in love with. He did anything for her, including driving over 2.5 hours to and from his college to her college every weekend their freshman year. They went to schools in different states, so they could spend time together. Things started to change for them during the later parts of their freshman year of college after Danielle got heavily involved with a religious group on her campus. According to Liam, she got very manipulative and emotionally abusive. She had these new ideas in her head of who she was wanting him to be and wanting to save him. He tried going to church with her and doing the things she wanted him to do, but it eventually led to him becoming confused, upset, and ultimately resentful, which led to them ending things in a crash and burn type way. Fast forward several months after they break up, Liam meets me. We started casually dating at first since he still had trauma and large amounts of trust issues that remained from his relationship with Danielle. After about 5-ish months, he felt like he was ready for something serious again. 3.5 years later, we're engaged. Another year goes by, we're married. Almost 3 years later, we're here today. Throughout all of this time, Liam has not heard from Danielle once. Also during this time, Danielle has met someone new, gotten married as well, and currently has a young child. Flash to a week and a half ago. Liam and I just moved to a new house closer to our hometowns and posted about the move on social media. After seeing the post, Danielle decides to message Liam congratulating us on the new place and hoping that all is well. Nothing too crazy, but not something that he was expecting. They begin briefly conversing about house things, moving, renovations, etc. Liam tells me she reached out to him, and I find this a bit odd, but nothing to worry about. A couple of days later, Liam sits me down to ask me something and for me to not freak out. I, of course, begin freaking out. Apparently, Danielle had continued to message him after their brief conversation and eventually sent him a long post letting him know that there are some things she wants to get out in the open, wants to deeply apologize for the way she treated him towards the end of the relationship, and wants to do all of this in person with him. He asks me my opinion on this, and I'm definitely concerned as to why after all this time this is something she feels the need to do, and also why the need for this to be in person. After discussing this with a friend who had a similar thing happen to her and afterwards the ex left them alone, I ultimately agreed, hoping that the same scenario would play out with us. Boy, was I wrong. Liam and Danielle decide to meet at a coffee shop in a town about halfway between where we live and where she and her husband live. For Liam, it was about an hour drive. This meeting took place this past Saturday. At first, I asked to come with and just sit in the car while they talk, since I anticipated it being a short but awkward conversation where she could express what she needed to and then he could leave and we could go do something afterwards. Liam convinced me I would end up being bored and he would feel bad leaving me alone for that time, so it was better for me to just stay back. He didn't think it would last very long, maybe an hour or so, and he would be home before I knew it. I ended up agreeing and he left early in the morning so he could meet her around 10. After letting me know once he got there and that he would keep me posted on when he would be heading back, I waited. After about an hour, I texted asking how it was going and he said it was fine and that he was just listening to what she had to say. Another hour goes by and I start feeling a bit concerned, as I would have thought they would be done by now. Another hour goes by and I'm full on irritated. I text him saying it's been 3 hours and ask when I should expect him back. He lets me know they're catching up and he would let me know. Another hour goes by. 4 hours in total and I'm mad. What was supposed to be a short apology conversation was turning into a full day thing. Finally, he lets me know he's heading home after 4.5 hours of them talking. I needed answers. When he finally got home, I asked what happened. He lets me know that Danielle did apologize for the way she treated him during their relationship. After that, they began catching each other up on their lives since it had been nearly 8 years since they last talked. It was a good, casual conversation and then she started breaking down crying. According to Liam, Danielle is at her wit's end in her marriage, is considering divorcing her husband. She told Liam that her husband hasn't been the man she thought he would be and that they have lost all passion in their marriage. That it got harder after she had their baby and doesn't know what to do since she doesn't really like the idea of starting over and navigating as a single mom. Basically, She was confiding in him about all of the issues in her life, and he sat and listened and talked with her. Liam said she really just needed someone to listen that wasn't involved in their circle. He felt bad for her and just wants to make sure she is okay. He then asked me how I would feel if they continued to be casual acquaintances. I told him I could maybe get to a point where I would be comfortable with that, but would needed to think about it. He made it seem like that was the end of what they discussed, and we continued the rest of our day as normal. At the end of the day, we get in bed and are watching TV when I notice that he's getting quiet and distant. I ask what is wrong, and he starts to tear up, saying that there was more he needed to tell me about him and Danielle's conversation. I, immediately, get worried. In tears, he tells me that Danielle expressed to him that she still has feelings for him. Even though it's been years and they've both moved on, she still has parts of her heart set for him. That her husband isn't half the man he is. In some ways, I wasn't shocked to hear that, especially since she wanted to meet with him after all this time. However, what he said next did shock me. He told me that after talking with her, he realized that he also still has some unresolved feelings for her. All this time, he thought she hated him after they broke up, when in reality she was just struggling with her religious trauma in college and took things out on him when she shouldn't. Everything was took out of context. I didn't know what to think. He was so hurt and torn apart after they broke up, and it took me months to build his trust and hope back up in the beginning to allow him to see himself capable of love again. Now, all these years later, he says he still has a part of his heart for her. In many ways, I understand, because first love will always hold a spot. But I'm also a bit hurt that my husband, the man I plan to spend the rest of my life with, still feels for his ex. After learning that she still has feelings for him, I told him I wasn't liking the idea of them still talking. That she could eventually start interpreting his kindness to her wrongly and see some sort of potential between them. That really she should be discussing her marital issues with her own husband and not him. He insists that she would never come between us, and that Danielle herself even expressed that she respected the idea of marriage wholeheartedly, and the last thing she would want to do is harm ours. He wants to be there for her because it seems like she doesn't really have anyone else to talk to about all of this. Last night, he was showing me TikToks on his phone when a text notification from Danielle popped up. I questioned him about it and he shrugged it off as nothing. Today, I asked if she was still texting him and he said she was, but he was trying to slowly cut her off. I expressed again how I don't think it's best for him to be talking to her and how she really should be going to a friend or family member to talk about her issues. I noticed he was still texting her throughout the evening tonight too. Should I be concerned about all of this? I don't want to come across as a wife who controls who her husband can or cannot talk to. I do trust my husband, but I don't really know Danielle. He insists she is true to her word and would never try anything, but how can I know for sure? My best friends think I should tell him to block her. I don't think he will, because he feels bad for her. But I don't want her to continuing to reach out to him for validation, and that eventually leading to her feelings towards him growing more. What do I do? Please help. Update, June 11, 2025. I want to thank everyone who saw my original post and left a comment or sent me a message. Although they may have been difficult for me to read through, it was something I ultimately needed to do. Anyways, here is the update. Liam has been at work all day, so I wasn't able to talk to him much until he got home. I sat him down again and let him know that I needed to talk about his communication with Danielle. I told him that I wasn't happy and that I needed to know if he was still talking to Danielle today. He told me he was, but that he was to finally end things with her. For those of you, if not all of you, that suggested Danielle reached out to him because she wanted him for herself, you were correct. Liam called her today and she straight up asked him how happy he was with me, and that if for even a second there were issues, and wanted out, that they could run away together. She wants to divorce her husband and be with him. I believe this admittance finally broke Liam's rose-colored glasses on the situation and opened him up to seeing what she was really doing. Trying to manipulate her way back to him and home wreck our marriage. He finally told her enough is enough and that he cannot talk to her anymore. That he did feel sorry for everything going on with her and her own marriage, but for the sake of his own marriage and his love for me, that he needs to stop being in touch with her. He realized that those unresolved feelings that he started to have for her after meeting with her this past Saturday were more like feelings of nostalgia for the times they spent together and the times they were happy. The way she spoke about him and his character made him feel good and gave him that ego boost, but after hearing her true intentions, he was able to remember the way she was before and why they broke up in the first place. I told him I wanted him to block her. I wanted no contact at all with her, and he agreed. So he deleted all of their messages, blocked her number, and blocked all of her social media right in front of me. There will be no communication between them going forward. Again, thank you all so much for the help realizing what was happening and what needed to be done. I really appreciate it. Next story. Dad always chose my half-brother over me our entire lives, so when we both had graduation on the same day and he picked my brother again, I gave him an ultimatum that if he didn't come to mine, our relationship was over. So I'm 18M and I have a half brother who is the same age as me. We'll call him Cameron. Our dad got 2 women pregnant around the same time. I'm older by 6 months. My dad chose Cameron's mom over mine and they're married now. Cameron is his parents' only child. Anyway, so I've always felt like I was just a backup son for my dad. I know he does love me, but not as much as Cameron. I live an hour and a half away from him, but he would always make the drive to come see me when I was younger and still does to this day. If I ever need anything, he'll make sure I get it. He took me on trips all the time with just me and him. But still I felt like an outsider. He would constantly put me second to Cameron. If we both had sports games on the same day, he would always go to Cameron's with his wife. Once when I had an award ceremony, he couldn't come because Cameron was sick. It was just a cold BTW. When I wanted him to teach me how to drive, he said he couldn't because he promised Cameron he would teach him first, but that he'd help me after Cameron got his license. I could list off a bunch of other examples. My dad would show up to my stuff, but if Cameron had something going on at the same time, he wouldn't come. Cameron and I aren't friends. We get along fine if we're together, but neither of us is going out of the way to talk to the other. I think he's spoiled and obviously our dad's favorite. Our dad and his mom did him no favors because his grades are bad and his life has no direction. He didn't apply to any colleges and he won't even get a part-time job. We're both graduating high school this year. His school district released their graduation schedule after mine, and of course our graduations are on the same day at the same time. We live an hour and a half apart, so obviously our dad can't make it to both. He's known my graduation date for weeks before Cameron learned his. We already had plans for him to come and spend the day here. But I knew as soon as I saw that schedule he was gonna flake. At first he said he wasn't sure what he was gonna do. He's been avoiding the topic for weeks, but our graduations are on the 29th, so he has to decide now. Well, yesterday he took me to dinner. He told me that he was going to go to Cameron's graduation. He said it was because Cameron's grandparents weren't gonna be able to make it and Cameron would only have his mom while I have my mom, stepdad, siblings, and grandparents all coming to mine. I'm not an idiot. It was just an excuse that I knew would be coming. He tried to soften the blow by promising me he'd make up for it by taking me on a graduation trip anywhere I wanted to go. Even though he had already promised me that months ago. He's taking his wife and Cameron on a family trip to Hawaii in June. It's supposed to be Cameron's graduation trip, but he promised he and I would have our own trip. Now all of a sudden that trip is supposed to also be a makeup for missing my graduation. So I told him okay, I want to go to this one weekend event that is on the same week he's going to Hawaii. He told me he can't because that's when they're going to Hawaii. I didn't actually want to go to this event, I was just proving a point. I told him to postpone his Hawaii trip so he can take me to the event. He said he can't because everything is already paid for and non-refundable. I told him that he's missing my high school graduation. The least he can do is make me the priority when it comes to the graduation trips. He said I'd have to pick a different weekend. I told him he doesn't actually care about making it up to me. He's only okay with what I want so long as it doesn't interfere with his real family. He denied it and told me to try to understand the position he's in. I told him straight up that he always chooses Cameron over me. For once I want to be the first choice. So I said I'll have a ticket ready for him, but that if he doesn't come I'll know where I stand in his life. I don't care about a makeup trip. Either he shows up and we still have a relationship or I'm just done with him. He told me that I was being unreasonable and maybe I am, but I'm still standing my ground. I already know he's not going to come, even after my ultimatum. So am I the asshole for throwing away our entire relationship over this? Update, some people wanted an update to my post. My graduation was on Wednesday. Surprising everyone, especially me, my dad actually chose me and my graduation. Not at first, but he did come. So what happened after I gave him the ultimatum was he kept trying to talk to me as if nothing was wrong. He was asking me to spend time with him a lot and asking when I was free. Basically either feeling guilty or trying to compensate for choosing Cameron. I never met with him. Cameron messaged me to tell me to stop being an asshole and to get over it cause apparently our dad was stressed out over the whole thing. I just blocked Cameron and moved on. On the day of my graduation my dad told me he was coming down to spend the day with me before he had to go home to go to Cameron's graduation. At first I told him not to bother cause there's point in showing up here if you're just gonna leave before the actual ceremony, but he ended up coming anyway. We had a small get together at my house with my mom's side of the family. My dad was there acting as if nothing was wrong. It was annoying. I refused to take pictures with him because I told him I'm taking pictures at my graduation. If you want pictures with me you can show up. A few hours before the ceremony he said he had to head out. I said goodbye forever and he pulled me aside to talk. He was trying to justify his decision again. I told him I was serious about what I said. I will not talk to him ever again. I made it clear that this isn't something I'm gonna be mad about for a bit and then get over. I'm not gonna call him crying in a few years saying I'm sorry. He asked why I was being like this and I just let it all out. I told him I'm sick and tired of being second place all the time. My entire life I've been told that he can't show up for me because Cameron needs him or he promised Cameron first. Yet the one time I had my graduation date set and planned first he still cancels on me for Cameron. I asked him to give me one good reason why he has to go to Cameron's graduation over mine, specifically. No, this is a tough situation. I can't be in two places at once, etc. he said, because if he doesn't go to Cameron's graduation he has to deal with a pissed off wife and his entire home life will be tense. I asked him why can't his wife and Cameron ever be the ones he apologizes to and asks to try to understand? Why do I always have to be purposely handed the short straw? He didn't have an answer. I told him I hope Cameron gets his life together because right now he's on a nosedive trajectory that ends with him still living at home rent-free in his 30s with a girlfriend he can't afford to give a ring to, let alone a wedding, and 3 kids who are being raised by my dad's wife. I didn't care anymore at that point. It's true. Cameron's a loser. And I told my dad good luck cause he's the one that's taking care of you when you're old. I'm out. I guarantee Cameron takes their money and puts his parents in the absolute cheapest nursing home he can find. They failed him by spoiling him and treating him like he's perpetually 5 years old. Dad still ended up leaving anyway. I refused to hug him and told him I'm done with him. That kinda ruined my mood, but once I got to school and started hanging with my friends I decided to let it go. I wanted to enjoy my grad night and just forget all the bullshit. After the ceremony I was shocked to see my dad walking towards me. I was positive he was going to Cameron's graduation. Like gun to my head, get this answer right or you die. Well, I guess I'd be dead cause I was 100% sure he'd choose Cameron. He already did, but I guess he turned around and came back. So he hugged me and told me that he's sorry for everything and how he's treated me and that he does love me just as much as Cameron even if he's been bad at showing it. I don't really believe that last part, but he showed up, so that's what I'm focusing on. Cameron was pissed of course and messaged me from a different number to bitch at me. He was calling me a crybaby and selfish. Saying dad only went to my graduation because I threw a fit. He doesn't understand that it wasn't me having a tantrum. It was a last straw situation for me. I just sent him a picture of me and our dad at my graduation and told him to get over it. Then I blocked that number too. Fuck him. I'm glad he knows what it's like to be second choice just once. I'm sure our dad is already bending over backwards to make it up to Cameron anyway, so he'll live. Our joint graduation party is gonna be awkward, but hopefully we'll just keep our distance from each other. Oh, and don't worry, I'm not delusional. I know my dad is just gonna go back to his same old routine. And now if I ever bring up his unfairness again he'll always be able to throw in my face that he came to my graduation over Cameron's. It'll probably be his trump card. NGL, it did feel good to have everyone shit on my dad with me in my last post cause I was pissed off at him when I posted. I know that he does love me though. Still, I think I'm gonna take some advice I got in that post. I'm not cutting my dad off, but I'm gonna stop trying. I have a lifetime of him awarding me the silver medal no matter how well I do and I'm tired of it. Cameron can be his favorite son uncontested from now on. I'm just gonna live my life and keep my dad at an arm's length. I'm not gonna try to force him to prove his love for me anymore.